All right, good evening, board. You're live, we're recording.
Thank you very much, LTV. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Julie, would you do roll call, please?
Sure. Barbara Dayton.
Here.
Tim Frazier.
Here.
Pat Braveman.
Right next to him.
Eric Frederickson.
Here.
Emma Field. Here.
Great, thanks very much. If we could all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prior to this, we were in executive session where we were going over personnel and hiring. And since this is a work session, there will be public commentary after each topic for discussion. So we're going to start out with the short item, which is our calendar for next year.
And this calendar mirrors East Hampton's calendar. That's why we're a little bit behind everybody else. And it also mirrors BOCES calendar, with the exception of a Muslim holiday.
Has East Hampton approved their calendar already?
Yes, they have. Okay, we have the same two superintendent conference days before the start of school, August 30th and 31st. First day of school for students is the 5th. What helps this calendar this year is that Rosh Hashanah falls on the weekend. There's only one Jewish holiday, that's the 25th and 4th. We will still have the 7th of November as a superintendent's conference day. That's election day. Most schools, it allows our phys ed department or nurses to go up island for their trainings. And then Wednesday is a traditional day off before Thanksgiving, so that's on this calendar.
Okay.
Weekend, one day off for Christmas. And then April is late this year. It's like a week later than this year, maybe 2 weeks later. We do have the half days before the 2 breaks. You'll see that for superintendent conference days, half days. That's the 16th of February and the 19th of April, with the 4 weeks off. If we don't take any snow days, first 2 days are contingent days, whether that be a hurricane, snow, whatever, we will peel off from the 29th and work our way backwards. But if we don't use any days, then we will have the extended Memorial Day weekend. And then we have Juneteenth Day is, and we go up to the last day of school is the 26th of June.
Yeah, wow.
Midweek there.
Yeah.
Okay, I bring this to you today so you can discuss it, but you don't have to approve it tonight. It'll go on for a regular board meeting on the 28th for approval.
Okay.
STA's had a chance to look at this too?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Did they have any comments or any suggestions?
No.
Okay.
We haven't seen it yet.
Yes, you have. I shared it.
It's not time for public comment.
And the half days, that was to administrative, the 2 half days in February and April.
You have a half day in February and a half day in April
Right.
for additional superintendent conference days
Like
in the afternoon.
Professional day, yeah, I think we're gonna try to add one before each, like before Thanksgiving, make that Wednesday half day for professional development. But I know we were in discussion about that, we never got further on that.
The principal will definitely want more, but this is what we did this year, so we thought it was.
It's on the 7th.
So the 27th is a Wednesday?
Election day, yeah.
No, 27th, the 22nd, which is the day before Thanksgiving,
Which is
So the
just,
22nd, you're off.
yeah.
it's a full day off, but
Full
if
day
you wanna
off.
do that professional development,
We have the 7th of November for professional development.
okay,
That's election day.
that works, okay. Just wanna give it ample time.
Yeah, the day before Christmas, that Friday, we didn't think was a good day for professional development.
Right.
Out of curiosity, why is the April break later this year? It's traditionally around Easter, so I was just curious.
It's a good observation. So the 29th is actually Good Friday.
Mhm.
And for some reason, the school districts went with the Jewish holiday, which was in April. It may have something to do with testing, but I haven't seen a testing schedule yet.
When is Easter?
Wait a minute.
29th
Easter is actually the 31st
of March?
of March.
Oh, it's early.
Oh, that's not actually on here.
Right.
I don't,
The weekends aren't on this.
oh, right,
You got a
okay.
Friday, you have that Friday and that Monday.
So
That's it.
one-
Yes, you have
Easter
the
recess.
Easter
Gotcha,
Monday
gotcha,
off
okay.
and you have the Good
Good
Friday off.
Friday, right.
Okay.
And if we didn't follow East Hampton and BOCES, then you've got, bus drivers.
No, it makes sense to follow East Hampton. I'm just looking at the professional development days that Christine was asking for.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, but as I said, you don't vote on this till next week.
Okay. Since we are going over, actually, there is time for public commentary right now, if anybody, caller or here, has a question about our calendar. Okay, so let's jump on into our budget workshop then. We'll be having a facilities report this evening from Kevin Jones and Nick Nelson. And Mike Henry is here on the screen with us as well,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
So this is our budget workshop number 2.
Yeah.
We repeat, we'll wait for Julie to get that up.
Motion.
I'm trying to figure out how to share this.
Here you go.
Okay, we're just not gonna see.
Okay, that's okay. Just go to the first slide. Spring's mission statement is there again. Spring School's committed to providing a safe environment and rich educational experience for our students with emphasis on academic, physical, social, emotional, and prepare our students to be lifelong learners to respect cultural diversity, embody the positive character traits, and be responsible, caring citizens. I've also repeated our goals for the 23-24 school year, which we will do objectives in June, but the goals will stay the same. And you can see in here, there's a strategic planning for fiscal responsibility and facilities. And tonight we're going to talk about that a little bit. And of course, when we do instructional learning, when we will address some of those goals. These are the things we want to maintain. And then we're talking about technology, we're talking about school safety tonight, adequate custodial and maintenance staff, fully staffed bus drivers and bus monitors we're talking about tonight. Okay, we're going to go to school safety. Currently, we have 5 security guards. 3 are retired police officers. 2 of those, one of those guards is a lead guard for me. They both work 7:30 to 3:30. 2 are 11 to 7. They share the week. They're part-time. And we have 1 sub who works 4 hours on the weekends during the nice weather, making sure that anybody using our facilities have her permits if they're a organized group. If you're a parent, no, that's not needed. What is needed on the school safety front is more substitutes, because these are retired individuals and they do like to travel and get away, and we keep them happy by having some people to fill in for them. So it works out really well. Security and safety improvements that we have completed. Active shooter presentation to all staff was done on the superintendent's conference day. New blackout blinds for all our door windows for lockdown drills was purchased and installed. What we had before was paper and falling apart. All interior doors in the district have been fitted with the same locks. During construction, we found that different doors lock different ways, and if you were a person that floated between classrooms, you weren't certain how a particular door locked. So that was very important to us to make sure every door had the same lock. Door alarms have been installed. These door alarms send notifications to our security guards and our custodians when a door has been ajar for a period of time. Right now, they're set for a certain amount of time, but it's easily altered if we want it to be a shorter time or a longer time. What this does is make everybody aware that they cannot prop a door open or keep it open for a length of time, or somebody's going to come looking for them. License reader installed for cars on the property. When you go through Ed Holt's Lane on the side of our building, there are 2 license readers now. When we had concerns about a car, we couldn't necessarily read the license plate from our other cameras. So these are meant to read license plates. very helpful, and of course, East Hampton Town Police respond very quickly when we want to check out a license plate of somebody.
So where are they? I'm sorry. They're on, not
They're on this.
on this strip, not
Strip.
here. Okay.
Yeah.
Not it, hopefully.
Okay. Disaster recovery plan, I am working with BOCES. What this is about, and I'll use Suffolk County as an example, when they got cyber attacked, what do we need to bring up first? Where is that information stored besides on our web server that, we back up a lot to BOCES. So I've been working very diligently with BOCES, with LICN, to have this disaster recovery in place should something happen. Right on my computer right now, I have who I contact in case of a cyber attack. You gotta notify the state of New York, you gotta notify your attorney, and of course, your public relations firm. Suffolk County is still not up and running, and they're into the billions of dollars. I can't stress that enough. It's behind the scenes, but it's really important work. Additional Wi-Fi, that again, to us here at Springs, is a safety feature. It's not a luxury. We have to have Wi-Fi in order to communicate effectively outside of this building. Stop the Bleed training took place for our teachers. April 6th, they will be back to do teacher assistants, bus drivers, custodial staff. That's one of our half days. So it'll be nice that these individuals are here and we can provide the additional training. All the kits that we thought were going to take months to come were ordered. Thank you, Julie. And they arrived and they were distributed. We need maybe a handful more. Every bus driver will have one on their bus. Custodial closets all have one as well. And we used Fred the Ability for that. Additional security measures being considered. Cyber security increased cost. I'm waiting for an estimate on that. If you remember last year, we picked the middle cybersecurity protection, not having it in the budget, to do the higher one. I am getting a cost for the higher one because I don't think we can take the risk, okay? Homeland Security visit is scheduled for March 29th. They started these before the cyber attack in Suffolk County. They got derailed and they're coming back out again. What they do is they visit the school and they tell you any other improvements you can make to your security. So far, East Hampton says the East End schools have gotten like the best reports because we are really on top of it. Additional cameras, Genetech with Smart Bond money. I am maximizing all of our grants in order to make sure that we have the up-to-date cameras and can really, cameras are not only for the protection of our students, but it's also a protection of our staff. When somebody accuses, a staff member of, of something and there's a camera there, you can say, are you sure you want to say that? Like the camera caught the confrontation and there was no confrontation. So cameras are really important. Digital radios to speak directly to dispatch and districts. The radios have been ordered. They're Motorola radios. They were supposed to be funded through another grant that the town was supposed to get and wasn't able to, but Fred the Ability is being funded for that. And I did speak to Fred about it and he said, absolutely, anything that increases our safety here at Spring School. And this will allow us to speak to dispatch directly through the radio. And the same radio can be used for us inside. So it's not like we're going to be carrying two radios. Find My Bus app is something that works. Visitor's driver's license record. If you remember, we had that in the old vestibule. It was taken out during construction. It's being reinstalled in the new vestibule. So we'll be able to read a person's license, driver's license, and that we felt was important as well. Find My Bus app, something that we're exploring. Our buses are equipped with Wi-Fi for those radios, that's digital. So we think that we'll be able to get that kind of app because of the Wi-Fi on our buses.
Do you know if there's been any movement on, putting a tower in in this area? We had talked about the tower over at the fire department, and it supposedly was going to be moved to the Blue Bay.
Yeah, Blue Bay's in progress.
It is in progress?
I don't equipment with that, but I don't know if they installed it yet.
Okay. So they're going to put it up for sure then?
Yeah, I was talking to Wayne down there. That's too rough stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever we can do. Pick My Kid Caroline, when we increase our Wi-Fi, we'll be able to get this app, and what this will do, it's software. When the car line starts all the way down in front of the SYA building, just by scanning it with either a phone or an iPad, it'll go right to the classroom, and the child's name will be up there that, their parent is out in the car line. Especially on rainy days, this will make it go really smooth. And it's something that, again, for safety reasons, if a parent or a guardian picking up a child doesn't have this barcode on their car, then what are you doing picking up this child?
There'll be
Will be
multiple
stopped and
barcodes?
asked.
Will parents get multiple barcodes?
Yes,
Wait, so they wouldn't actually have to scan something every time, it would just be on their car, you're saying would happen
we
automatically?
would have to scan it so
Right,
that it would go, every teacher would have to keep their smartboard on
Right.
during car line. Instead of even calling for buses, it would go on the screen. Bus 5 is here. Emma Field can be picked up,
Right.
I'm sure you're working on the kinks on that before you get it.
We wouldn't be the first ones with this either. And we know we need Wi-Fi to make this work. So that's why we have not purchased it. So these are all the additional security measures we're being considered. Getting quotes on Wi-Fi is important to make that happen. Do you want me to stop here for security for any questions?
Good.
Okay. You'll see the same similar format for transportation. This is our current transportation staffing. We have one head bus driver, she's 12 months. One driver is 12 months, but she's requested to go back down to 10 months. That will start for the new school year. 10 full-time bus drivers, 10 months, one part-time driver. And in the budget currently is another driver full-time, but we haven't been able to fill the position, and currently we do have somebody in training. So hopefully before the year is out, we'll have filled that position. Bus monitors, we dropped our monitors on every big bus, but we kept 2 floaters. They've been instrumental, as are our cameras on our buses. And we, of course, are required to have 2 special ed monitors per the IEP for special ed students.
So Deb, we provide transportation in the summer for summer school?
Yeah,
So we're gonna hire somebody else to run is that gonna be one of the part-time drivers to do that?
one of the part-time drivers.
Okay.
Or one of the 10-month drivers will step up to do it.
Will you become a 12-month driver or be a part-time?
No,
driver?
it'll be,
10 months plus part-time.
right.
Okay.
Proposed transportation staffing, addition to the budget. In speaking with Marion and to the drivers, they're doing the overtime, but it gets to be a lot. They're up at 5 o'clock to do the high school run at 6:30, and then we're asking them to rotate and do the late buses at 6:30. We'd like to hire a part-time driver who will know when being hired that they are the late shift driver. Okay, yes, they'll fill in if a driver is out sick in the morning, but for the most part, they would be the sports run and the late buses at the high school. Okay. They're still asking for a storage shed. This price is now dropped to $5,000. They got another estimate today. I asked them for 3 estimates. So, they can store the oil, the antifreeze, the cleaning supplies in the portable where they're housed right now. So that's why they're asking for something right there in the yard, if possible. And I just keep at it and getting a much lower price for it. And it would be small. It would, I think they were looking at something like 12 by 16 or something like that. Not very big. Transportation budget unchanged, except for the increase in cost, 15%, approximately about $2,700. I've worked this out with Mike. Increase in fuel, he's estimating about 30%, about $17,700. We're proposing another proposition for a new bus, a 30-passenger bus. The size of the buses of 66 passengers are through the roof. So Marion thinks she can really do with a 30-passenger bus, especially for those sports runs and high school runs. Mm-hmm. And it would replace a mini bus that is from 2006. That's our oldest bus. We have 5 buses that are from 2008. She would love to replace those at some point. We had another bus breakdown this morning and one last week. This is being fought a great deal. They're estimating that all new buses purchased in 2027 and beyond will need to be electric. The infrastructure just doesn't support this. It has a lot of people up in arms asking for this to be extended out. They just don't see how it's possible. So, but that's the estimate cost is $370,000 for a full.
And the average bus cost is about 100? The current buses?
66 passenger bus is now about 180.
About 180 now, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, we did good starting out 5 years ago trying to replace our buses. Really have.
Yeah, prior to that, we were spending about 110, 115 for a large bus.
Right.
I
Deb,
thought it
could you
was.
just go back to transportation? I'm just looking at the note at the top there. It says budget unchanged except for those additions. What about the things that were in the previous slide?
That's your staffing. Staffing is separate from the actual expenses for the
Gotcha, okay.
for the transportation. And we built this budget from the ground up. We did not roll it over.
Right.
I'm going to let our two gentlemen from facilities take the facility section, Kevin Jones and Nick Nelson. Again, as people visit our school, they're so impressed with our facilities. It's just nice to hear.
For those, hello and good evening, board and those that are viewing and listening in. If you don't know me, I'm Nick Nelson, the supervisor for the custodial department. I have been serving the district for a number of years, possibly 18 counting, proud to say. So I've seen a lot and cleaned a lot. The upcoming budget, I have requested, someone put forward a proposal for additional manpower. The building itself, in my humble opinion, it's been in pretty decent shape. I mean, my guys would be upset. Maybe I'm being a little modest. Maybe I think it's in great shape, actually. But it can be better. It can be in better shape. We have 90,755 square feet in total that we're cleaning. Right now, there's one full-time custodian during the day and 5 of us at night, including myself. The building has increased in size, 23,000, I believe, is that 804?
Mm-hmm.
Square feet. We felt we feel that increase. That's why I feel as though, and I've also taken into consideration, not only has the building increased, but it seems as though many events and after-school activities and things to make us greater has increased as well. So, in respect to my unit, I feel as though with everything increasing around us to make things better, so should we.
Next slide.
Let's see. Yeah, so we have, like I mentioned on the slide, we have one full-time daytime worker and 5 of us at night. So many other things I was going to say. It's really a lot of other things I wanted to say.
Well, let Kevin go, and if you want to.
Yeah, I'll let Kevin go.
Yeah.
How are you all? I'm Kevin Jones, maintenance crew leader here. Kind of newly formed division of Springs to try and take on more of the routine maintenance as well as some
Just go back to
newer projects that we want to do in-house, which of course helps with the timeline, but also with significant cost savings. Myself and 2 of our crew have been working very hard doing a bunch of projects thus far, and some of the things that we see that is tough to manage is a lot of the outside parts of the grounds. They have also expanded. We've a lot with new ball fields, new gardens, new finished areas and areas that are still unfinished that require, some future planning and some attention. We do currently have, of course, a
Next slide.
well-respected outside contractors that are performing that kind of routine maintenance. But like all things, they have profit margins to maintain and, schedules to work in their favor. And sometimes you lose a little bit of that attention to detail. Some of the areas that you need to do yourself are hard to get to. The costs that are breakdown are the current landscaping maintenance costs that the district's incurring that we would be able to take on with certain personnel and equipment. Not only would the costs that the previous slide showed some of the landscape, Julie, you go back to that one real quick. This would be an initial package that would provide the means to do the routine maintenance of grass cutting, weed whacking, the power washing and cleaning of the buildings that we currently don't really get to, as well as the ball field maintenance, which require constant grading, introducing new field conditioner and clay, as well as prepping the field for all the games and athletic usage. It's just with a small department, it's hard to be in all places at all times. So that's where requesting to bring on an additional individual, just kind of form some more equipment and take on more of that role. There would be a small increase for the first year, obviously because of the purchase of equipment. But that's the numbers that I generate on the next slide, which we're currently paying, would be absorbed over time because of all the other things that aren't being added to this that the district does pay for and would increase. Things such as all the mulching of a property, the painting of the parking lots, building maintenance on the outside, renovation stuff such as our 2 courtyards that need some attention and garden maintenance, new plantings, a lot of things that aren't part of this package that would just be above and beyond costs that, again, a little extra support and some infrastructure are things that we can do in a timely fashion and at a greater savings overall. Go to the next slide. In addition to requesting a full-time maintenance slash kind of groundsman, having the ability to solicit some substitute maintenance, which are again qualified professional, people with trade background to assist in some of the more of a project-based, idea that would be a big benefit to the district as well, to just bring in a little bit of necessary manpower to focus on one task. Again, working in partnership with the full-time staff and myself. Because of the increase in budget right now, that's anticipated increase towards our fuel consumption to heat the rest of the new addition of the building. And I think, Nick, this is your increase of what you think you need cleaning supplies wise?
Yes, 5,000 an increase for cleaning supplies. Dealing with the companies that we deal with, I mean, inflation is just it's been a killer. So I noticed that this would be sufficient. I also want to add in, okay, Kevin. Right now, we do have 2 full-time, to be specific, 1 full-time custodial worker, which would replace the 2 part-timers that we do have. District was so kind to grant us 2 part-timers, but I'm only receiving 20 to 25 hours collectively out of them both. Bringing in a full-time member, I get that 40-hour work week, and that would be that'd be tremendous for us.
So there'd sort of be a salary swap there from what we're currently paying to.
A salary swap.
Okay.
Of course, the benefits would be an added cost.
Right.
But you would see the benefit as far as the building itself compensate for that.
This is just a couple of the projects in which have been done in the recent past. Tiling the floors of 3 new classrooms that had abatement and are now up to compliance. The kindergarten playground replacement, that was something that was recently done. There's some pictures. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was the new kindergarten. I'm thinking of the other. A lot of playground work has been happening. The replacement of some of our hallway floors that were a beautiful upgrade. 5 bathroom floor replacements, the complete rip-off and new installation of the junior high roof. And the playground for the UPK there was something that we did in-house.
Kevin, what part did the maintenance facility do on that?
On which one? On
those 6 points there, or 6 points?
Let's see. There was direct support assisted to the flooring company that did the hallways and the bathroom floors. A lot of times we are able to get in there and do a lot of prep work that helps with the cost, and then kind of get them in for the majority of the work and then kind of do the finishing touches. I think in the bathrooms, we redid, pulling all the fixtures so that they're prepped for the floors to come in, reinstalling them all, making some necessary repairs, upgrading some of the fixtures on the ground, caulking everything in, sealing it all, kind of the extras that you lose when you have a larger entity, again, stuck to a price point to kind of get in and get out. They did a beautiful job, just definitely had to have some assistance from the maintenance staff. The bottom one, the UPK playground, that was something that was done in-house. Currently, it was just dirt for a long time, and had it all graded, new RCA or new crushed stone put down, reframed it all, and installed a new 1-inch rubber tile that now offers a clean surface for play, but also full requirements that weren't there prior. So
That was done by your maintenance crew?
Yeah.
In the playground?
Can we have some pictures?
So no, the playground, the kindergarten playground, because I thought we.
No, that was done by outside contract.
Just asking, like, the hallways, that was done by staff or was it done by outside contractor?
That was done by outside contractors.
And the bathroom replacement of the floors, yes, but not the completion of it.
Yes.
Well, I'm just trying to be clear, that's all.
Sure.
And the roof replacement was outside too, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Just with such facilities, I know facilities in the house, around the house, out of the house.
There's
the next
a
slide.
lot of cooperation
What is the
between
next
the
slide?
two that we've got.
These are some of their projects inside.
These are some recent projects. The renovation of the UPK playground. We reinstalled a high efficiency air cleaner in the new tech room to help with all the dust and micro particles from sanding and cutting of all the wood. Installing the flags in the gym. A lot of little things that don't necessarily get seen a lot. Plumbing fixes, electrical fixes, heating lines, univents, things that kind of keep everything operating, but able to do it at an immediate repair versus having to wait, shut things down, and then endure big costs with outside contractors.
Scroll down, Julie, there's some more pictures.
Just a couple of them. So that's showing just a pump replacement. This was a univent plumbing that was completely cut out that maintenance put all back together. This is some of the start of the UPK project. You can see that in phases. And that's the completed product there. There's a multitude of future projects from priority to what you'd love to do, but some of the ones that are currently getting focused on is a dehumidification system, one for archives, which are located down in our basement area, which share common air with a lot of crawl spaces and other areas where it's difficult to maintain a full moisture control. As well as a secondary basement area that we have that is part of the older part of the building, which has a lot of wood and stuff that is subject to that moisture fluctuation. That was recently inspected, initial inspection, which required a lot of crawling around underneath, and that's what we found where we have exposed dirt with no insulation on top. So the moisture control from all over is different in different areas, and a permanent dehumidification system will help maintain all of that space. That's again something that would be done by maintenance itself as we install.
And Kevin, it sounds like you have to store up anything under that area with supports. Is that correct?
Correct. The areas that look to be most concerning, believe it or not, are in good shape. There is no moisture issues to that structural framing. What we're seeing is exterior foundation, some areas a little bit of weeping that we can address from the outside, as well as ground saturation coming up, which some other combination effects, but really getting a system in there, getting air movement and being able to control it, especially when you get into the summer fluctuation, it kind of wreaks havoc both above and below the floor space. Another big project that we've received some quotes on is irrigating the newly installed courtyard. And there was some sections of the new garden beds and new landscaping that weren't part of the original irrigation package. Unfortunately, due to that, we're seeing a little bit of loss of some of the plantings. Some are in still pretty good shape, but this is something where adding that to it is, again, in-house work that can be done at a fraction of the cost versus what has been quoted as. It was in two separate quotes, but the combination effect was exit lighting in both courtyards, emergency exits and emergency lighting. Again, that was anticipated at a cost of roughly $20,000. After doing some inspection work and price point, that's something that can be very much done in-house with an anticipation of maybe a few $1,000s. So the current air conditioning issues that we have in some of the areas or future plans that we'd like to go into, a temporary solution that is much more efficient and beneficial to the space than the kind of window units that we have is what's called like a commercial move and cool. So it's a fraction of the cost, and it allows us for mobility in all spaces of the building. Not to say that moving forward with a permanent installation of air conditioning would not be the ultimate goal, but there are a lot more involved with, making sure that there's electrical needs can be met, design, and getting a plan together. So to be able to provide the cooling to some of these areas in a much more efficient way, and we did see some humidity problems, this would be a proposed option that would, again, give us the ability to move over to the commons area if we wanted to have something there. or anywhere in the building that is more of a larger square footage. One big issue that is infrastructure-wise and also a safety hazard is the bus route. The asphalt paving there has eroded quite a bit and is definitely in need of attention. So what the quotes are going to be looked at would be some limited concrete, some curb work that's necessary. Removal of the asphalt with new, crushed RCA base and 2-inch top layer, and then the necessary, markings for paint. I have a couple different contractors coming out that are giving me a quote. And one initial quote I got just for the asphalt side of the project came in around $60,000. So that's just an idea of moving forward of kind of a direction. And another proposed thing that kind of becomes not only a nuisance, but can be a little bit of an issue because of the fact they tend to fall out a little bit and slip and slide, and debris can fall at times, is some of the drop ceilings that would require some upgrade. Currently, it's a 2x4 tile. They've seen so much construction as late, and with some of the old roof that has now been replaced, but did have its own set of issues in the past. It's kind of a constant maintenance in itself. So looking to get some ideas of what we could do to upgrade it to more of a 2x2 stronger tile would offer some health benefits, of course, but also aesthetics to the space.
Mike, before we go to the last slide, can you talk about how some of this can be funded when we talk about facility projects?
Some of the bigger projects, we always put money over into the capital fund every year out of the general fund budget. And we can use some of that money to pay for some of the additional equipment and some of these additional projects without having any additional increase in the general fund. So, I was looking at using some of that stuff. Plus, by moving into the capital, it would become aidable projects. It should become aidable projects to us.
Okay, it'd probably be good to see a list of which of those projects would fall under those auspices of, and so which would be, and some might be capital and some might be repair, actually.
Yeah, we could go back to buildings and grounds again. We'll meet
Yeah.
about that. So one of the concerns, I was looking at the irrigation and just the irrigation itself. There's another way we could go. Some of the wetland area. Water consumption is always a thing, it's a problem. So if we get some of these beds, if we could put some natural planting that doesn't need so much moisture in those overflowing flower beds that are dying off,
Yep.
and community are willing to help us with that.
Sure.
Maybe look at the courtyards too, because adding moisture into a courtyard is always not a good thing either. So it's something we really should look into. We do have to do something with them, but.
Yeah.
I want to say most of these projects under the future projects, most of them could actually be run through the capital fund with some of the money we move over each year from the general fund. It doesn't all have to be done in 1 year. It could be scheduled out over 2 or 3 years, if so that we're not further trying to charge the general fund for any more money than what we've already got built into the budgets.
And some of the stuff is also repairs, right? Like
some could be repairs for sure.
Is redoing the bus loop a repair, or is that a capital project if we're taking the whole thing up?
If you're taking it all up, it would be it could be a project. Look at the amount of money. It's $60,000 is what one of the quotes I heard Kevin mention. So that we would do and get facilities planning, get the permits, and then we'd be able to get the aid on that project.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's just for the asphalt, that's not for the total.
That's not for the curb and everything else.
Right.
But if you were just to repave it, to repair it, because we're going to repave it without taking it, what would that come under?
If you're just doing some repair work, that's just under general maintenance.
Like if we repave the whole area over.
But if we're repaving the whole thing, you could do it through the capital.
Okay.
They did repave that when they did the parking lot
Oh,
and,
they did this here too?
yes,
They,
but
they just put a thin top coat over it.
Coated it, right?
yeah, they did not take
They
it off.
just put a seal.
No, that's what it's repaving, you could do a top coat, you could, I'm knowing that we looked, because I know we've talked about it building grounds, it's, the parcel is not adequate, what we need now, what we really need now.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look at that when it's time, if we're going ahead with that project. And, if that's not, that loop is not adequate enough for the buses to go to right now, we could look at other configurations for the buses to come through there. Maybe widening it a little bit or whatever, but there's a lot of different ideas you can come up with.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions about the?
Do you just, so just go back to the maintenance of the properties itself, you're gonna take over, so your intention is try to take over the whole package of maintaining our own property?
It would not be the entire package, because one thing that's not cited here that is a cost that we do still have is the aeration, fertilization of all the large sections of grounds. Sometimes there's also, not every year, but there's a silt that's added to help with increased drainage. Aeration helps that, but there's also layers of sand that slowly get, over time, just work their way in. So that's something we are doing as well, and would continue to be done with an outside contractor. But this is just showing the routine, cutting the grass, weed whacking, edging, maintenance side of the stuff. There is a little bit of tree trimming, which is a lot of times it's just small branches that are taken down to help prune, and pulling some weeds here and there. We're having an individual who can support interior maintenance when necessary, or a larger project where you need an extra pair of hands. Really would be focused primarily on this kind of a routine of outdoor maintenance.
So the normal of cutting the lawn and all that would be done in-house versus subbing. Another bit.
Which also offers us the ability to, when we're looking to, remulch all the gardens, which
Right.
have increased a lot. Regrade an area here and there, or add some topsoil and some seeding to an area. Currently, we don't have the time or the manpower to take on that. We'll occasionally be able to clear some leaves or try to, clean something up quick before the game. But to give it the attention that it really needs on a normal basis, it's difficult for an outside company to do that unless their price point goes, up a lot, to where you kind of need somebody in-house giving it that attention. So this would be a way to do it, on a daily basis in a sense, which would make it feasible to accomplish, while hitting all those little fine-tuned things, and future projects having additional manpower to take on those.
And right now, you guys are doing all the line paint, right?
Right now, the three of us are doing all interior and exterior.
I'm talking about the fields, marking the fields and all that, right?
Yeah.
So would this be a 12-month position if it's primarily outside, or is it more like a 10-month position? So I mean, if this person's mostly outside, what happens when you're not working outside?
Civil service allows them to come inside and do maintenance.
Okay.
So we have that additional support for projects,
Okay.
So anybody with, maintenance, and the maintenance department could actually do the lawns and do the beds.
We would also.
You wouldn't hire somebody just to do that. You'd be part of your team.
Yes.
Part of your job.
Yeah. Which way we support them as well. This and that, a lot of just one man job that, cutting grass is a one man job, hitting perimeter edges and weed whacking, doing some pruning here and there.
No, I'm just asking, like, the clarification, would you be hiring ground maintenance for exterior, or would you be hiring a maintenance man in-house?
With civil service before,
Okay.
And there's still enough projects to do in-house that we could use somebody else.
Right.
most definitely.
I was wondering if we're having a new lawnmower and things, where is that getting stored?
So that would be where part of what we're doing now is we required a shipping container, which you're aware of. we're kind of purging some of the old inventory and things that we have, cataloging it all so that we can propose how to best remove it, whether through any means that you guys approve. And then, of course, that eating right into the garage and the portable, which are also overflowing with storage. So the space is not being used efficiently at all. And we're introducing a lot of that old stock back into the building because it's upon teachers' request, they prefer that. So we're, again, a little more manpower helps move that along faster, and then that would give us the ability to have the space needed for maintenance of outside stuff as well as projects. I mean, sometimes we're trying to, apply finishes or make cuts where we're currently located downstairs, and that can be disruptive to education and to operations. So that limits us in sometimes moving forward with a project because you got time, constraints. Where out there, you'd be able to go out there and have an additional space to do some of that work.
So actually in the shipping container, you're saying?
No, in the garage.
In the garage, okay.
Right now, the garage would be.
That would be,
and then
okay.
utilized for actual,
This equipment will probably take, the equipment you're looking to purchase will probably take on most of that maintenance building, right?
No, I don't believe so. The mower itself, in that space, is not much bigger than two kind of golf carts. So then at that point, a lot of it's some hand tools and smaller equipment. You would have additional space for the robot that we have that does a lot of the painting and all the supplies and stuff necessary for servicing, as well as the paint, some field material, and a space to still be able to go do some construction style projects, whether housing material or working on something.
Any other questions? The future budget workshops, the next one will
Do you
be.
have any questions about that?
So at this time, if anybody has any questions about the budget presentation, either here in person or on LTV, you can come to the podium and question. Thank you both very much for coming to presenting to us this evening.
Thank you, guys.
I think it's page 14 of this, talks about the softball and baseball fields. Baseball, softball maintenance. And it's saying that is $30,000. And I was just wondering if that's like what we actually paid like this year. Did we pay that? And is that only because of our expansion and adding to the fields? Like, it doesn't seem possible that we've actually paid $30,000 a year to maintain our fields. So I'm just wondering if that is just an inflation sort of thing or what that is. Because if we really are spending all this money and there's another way to spend it, great. But this seems like I've never heard of us spending anywhere near that type of money on ball fields. So that was my one of my questions about the presentation.
Okay.
Mike, do you want to address that?
One of the expenses that we've had ever since before I came on board at Springs was, Kevin had mentioned it, where we bring a company in twice a year, aerates and overseeds the property and maintains the turf itself. That expense is part of this number, but that expense has always been there. Some of the other things, we've got infields with clay. We've got to maintain the clay. And we're trying to base it off of what we've spent this past year. The clay work we can't really do in-house. We need to bring Land Tech in to do that kind of work. They only come in once a year at the beginning of each season to do the work, so it's not a tremendous expense. But again, I think the biggest expense out of all of this is really that regular maintenance, the rototilling and the aeration and the reseeding of the grounds twice a year in the fall and in the spring. Some of the stuff, the removing of the vegetation, checking the bases again. Land Tech has to do that. They're anchored. There's cement pieces in there. They'll double check to make sure there hasn't been any kind of disruption there or anything like that, to make sure that they're set correctly to meet Section 11 standards for competition.
Yeah, but
Just to
Michael,
clarify, that $30,000 then is completely being eliminated because there are certain things that the outside contractors are still going to need to do.
Right.
So we're not really looking at a straight swap. That's the point.
It's not a straight swap. There's still going to be some costs incurred, but we'll still have we'll have better control, better quality of the work that we're doing when we bring it in-house. Right now, some of the mowing and some of the other stuff that we do around the property, using an outside contractor, they're rushing through to get it done as quick as they can. They're not doing the greatest of jobs. They're showing up on the property to do it, and they're running through in the middle of a gym class. So this eliminates all of this.
Yeah, that, from a teacher's point of view, that was something to be said for, the possibility of knowing when the work is being done, because that is an issue, is all of a sudden there's stuff going on while I'm giving a test or something. So it's not that I don't see the possible benefits. I just questioned the way that the finances are presented. It seemed like I don't think that we're saving as much as it is looking like. I think there's a lot more that we still have to do outside contracting for. And
Well, Mike, I just remind everybody too, we had this discussion as we put this capital project together, and initially the question for the community was, how are we going to maintain this if we're going to put in these ball fields, we're going to put in this extra space soccer fields, which was greatly needed and asked for. And we did have that discussion that it would be an ongoing cost to the district to maintain them, where we wouldn't be looking at a field full of weeds in 3 short years. We would be looking at runoff and irrigation causing problems, and we'd be able to maintain the money that we initially put in to support having high quality fields here at Springs for the community.
Correct. Yeah.
Mike, something about the place, the bases. Does somebody have to have a certain certification in order to be installing those? Can that be done in-house, or does it have to be a particular kind of company making sure that it's okay for?
We're using Land Tech with our Land Tech, who's a member of NICID on the field maintenance work, and they've got the engineers that would double check this and do all that kind of work for us. I think it's a little bit more than what an in-house grounds guy could do. I mean, if you had a full grounds department that could do all of this work in-house with all the necessary equipment and tools that they need, fine. But this is specialty kind of items, in my judgment.
So more specialty than one of the things on the list was the dragging thing for the fields, and that's all done in-house, or?
That'll be done in-house. That's just a matter of taking the golf cart, throwing this drag mat on the back of it, and just, if you go to a professional baseball game, you'll see the crew come out and they drag the infield just to make it look good and take some of the little small weeds.
That's an ongoing thing.
That's an ongoing weekly thing, yes. What I'm talking about here is some of just once every season, beginning of each season, where they come out and do, some of this major stuff for the fields, just to make sure everything, playing conditions are suitable under Section 11 guidelines, to make sure that they're, ready to be played on.
Okay.
The last slide.
So Mike, would you say basically that 30,000 is pretty much non-negotiable? I mean, that's what's going to be on top of whatever we do, no matter what. Remove vegetation. The way it's broken down.
The conditioner stuff sounds like that has to be.
Right, that's what I think that's what Christine was asking too. It's like, it says baseball, softball maintenance, that's going to be outside agencies doing that. So that's a fee that we're always going to pay no matter what. Whether it's going to go up, of course, it always does. On top of
I think there's a couple of small things in here that the in-house guys can do that we won't need to require from an outside contractor, but some of the bigger items, I would probably say Land Tech, I think, has been charging us around $18,000 to $20,000 to do all of the seeding, the aeration, the clay work, and just double checking the resetting of the bases and the pitching rubbers as needed. So I mean, yeah, it's not going to be the full 30, but you know, it's going to be probably closer to 20,000 that we're going to still have as an outside contractor in this particular grouping.
So, Mike, is it possible, and I don't think they're not gonna be working on getting this budget together, but just to begin of going through these numbers, like, when they group together like this, there's confusion on my end, and I think other people's end, is what the actual cost is. Like, just on the simple ones, it's 30,000, it's actually 18, and 12 is for something else, right?
Yes.
And, but we did the budget, next budget presentation, not on each one like that, I think I might have a better understanding of it.
Okay. Yeah, right now, I've just asked them to throw everything they want in here because we're trying to build this from the ground up. So once I start accumulating everything and really whittling it down and figuring out, all right, this can be paid for out of the capital fund, this comes out of the general fund, we'll have a better picture of what the costs are going to be.
All right, but one of the things, Mike, is, and I'm not gonna go on about, we're looking at hire another maintenance group. We wanna hire another maintenance guy, right?
Okay.
Custodian, so we're gonna hire 2 new staff members for the, for the maintenance and the custodian of the school. And what I mean on this side, it's not gonna cost us anything, but in reality, we're missing a part of that. We're missing that 30,000 that's up there. So that number's is not accurate, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the budget away, I always say when I ask for salaries, give me the total package. What does it really cost the district?
Well, actually, they did give that, I noticed. They gave the salary plus the benefits.
Yes, they did that. Yeah. In the past, we haven't had that.
Yeah.
And I'm not, it just makes it easier to understand the real cost, not the hidden cost.
Right. I got you.
Are there any other questions? Or yes, please come up.
Hi guys, Summer Romeo. My daughter's in kindergarten, and I have a 2-year-old who's hopefully coming up to pre-K. You guys did an amazing job resurfacing. It looks fabulous. I would love for the board, the administration, to look to get new equipment for pre-K. Maybe some more age-appropriate equipment. Currently, it's more for toddlers and not for 4-year-olds, 3 to 4-year-olds. And some of the kids are too big for the equipment that's there. So seeing that pre-K is heavily in play, and that's what we're learning to play together as much as in classroom, equipment would really go a long way. So doesn't have to be a $300,000 playground, but a little something could go a long way.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we do.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Eric.
I'm Eric Drew. I'm a 24-year employee of Spring School. Hello, I'm sure a lot of you know me. About the landscaping and the buying of equipment, over my 24 years, we found it not to be prudent to keep the equipment in-house and to sub it out. We've subbed it out for over 27 years. And we subbed it out for the reason of the landscaper's dependability, reliability. We didn't have to worry about people being on vacation, whether the work could be done, or if somebody was out sick. If they have somebody out sick, they replace it with a person and they come here and they do the work. We ran into problems of doing it in-house of disturbing the classes. If we're walking around with leaf blowers and weed whackers during a school day, the teachers would find it very not conducive to educating children. So we subbed it out to different contractors, and currently Mr. Mahoney, I believe, is our current contractor. He's very, very reliable and diligent, and they try and show up at the end of the day, and they start at the farthest part of the field and work in as the day dismisses until they get into the building and school day is over, and then they would come into the interior courtyards. We found it very difficult to keep and maintain the equipment. We actually disposed of all of our equipment prior to the renovation of what we had in the garage. And I just think the money could be better spent, because then we have to add an additional body, benefits, retirement packages, and that money could be used towards the buildings, such as putting up deer fencing around our entire sports field so the children don't play in deer feces. That would be a nice plus for so we don't walk out and step in little piles every time we run around. So I do agree with getting extra custodial staff. That would help us out tremendously. In the past, we've also had full-time, part-time positions, where they were 19-and-a-half-hour full-time positions, but they were still part-time. But the employees were more willing to commit to a full 19-and-a-half hours. If they knew the work was scheduled, we could get bodies to apply as a second job if they worked for the town or whatever employer. There wasn't a random, hey, can you be here on the third Tuesday of the next month? They knew they had 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and they could come and they had a rental and it was additional income to themselves. So I'd just like the board to know, and if you have any questions about any of my experiences here and what we've done in past practice, I'm here for anybody's information. But I would also like the board to consider that, our new addition is also going to be adding to our property taxes, because 73% of my property taxes, I own 2 homes in Springs, is Springs School. So every time the expenses go up in Springs School, my mortgage payment goes up, as per everybody's mortgage who lives in Springs. So our budget, since I've been an employee here, started out at $17 million. Now what are we running? $33 million? And if I did the math correctly, our new addition should double my current property taxes in the next 10 to 12 years. So it's basically, as time goes on and our budget goes up, it's actually going to devalue our homes in Springs, because as our property taxes go up in the competing areas, taxes stay lower, it's actually going to make who wants to come by into where the taxes are high, like Shoreham, Wading River, or Brookhaven, because we all know how high the taxes are there after the failed nuclear plant. So I would just like you all to take that into consideration. I would also formally like to ask the board to look into the pilot program, which is a tax relief for the homeowners, which is when they buy a property with CPF funding, they have taken the property and when they purchase a house with CPF funding, the town takes the deed and they rip it in half, and it's no longer income producing for the school, since 73% of that tax bill went to the school. So they do have a pilot program for districts who are in need of funding, which we are, and it would put a tax relief on us.
I believe usually we have pilot money listed on all of our budgets, so we've had that income.
We've gotten it, as far as I know. We have it, because when I talk to Scott Wilson in East Hampton Town, they all play dumb that they don't know anything about it. And it has to be applied for by the school board and the town.
Right,
so
it's part of every budget presentation. Have it on
see
there.
if we receive, because like Quogue School District, I think they receive $1 million too.
Right.
I think that would be a nice chunk of change for the Springs taxpayers.
And pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. So
That's
if you look at every budget presentation that we have, you will see in our income line the pilot section that shows what anticipated pilot revenues coming to the school.
But now also back, because I jumped ahead of myself, back to the landscaping. Have you ever seen how long it takes Mahoney to do a spring and fall cleanup here? It takes 6 to 10 men, a couple days, sometimes a week. We do not have the manpower or the equipment or the trucks or the vacuums or the blowers to do this. That's why it's subcontracted out to a contractor, because it would physically be impossible for 2 men to sit there and do that. Even if you got a third body, that would be very, very, very labor intensive to us. I think it would be prudent to ask Mahoney, give us a bid on adding mulch. Give us a bid to see what it is. Because is the addition of mulch and small details that we're so missing cheaper than hiring a new man, paying his benefits, paying his retirements, when it may only be a few $1,000s more to have them do it? And they have the manpower and the machinery and the equipment to do it.
Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate your
work. Welcome. Pleasure. Take care.
Is there anybody else here or on LTV who would like to have a comment or a question?
Yeah, we have 0 callers on the line.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Anybody else here have any questions at this time for Mike or anybody? All right, so what was that last date there for our next meeting? Julie, could you scroll up, please?
February 28th?
What's that?
We could just scroll up to our next,
The next regular meeting is the 28th.
right, our next
The
budget
next
workshop.
budget meeting is March 7th.
At that time, you'll be presented with the curriculum and instruction as well as special ed programs. And then we've got April 4th for the fourth budget presentation,
Okay,
which is, we'll have everything pulled together by then. If we have time at the third budget, if I've got, I should have some of the revenue items together to present to you so you can see what the revenues look like.
okay, great. Mike, thank you very much.
Mike, before you go, the governor made her proposal on February 1st. Was there anything different than what we anticipated as far as our BOCES aid? Do you want to speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, everything was pretty similar to last year. Overall, it's an 8.66% increase in aid, which is about $181,000. I mean, it's not, we don't get a whole lot of aid to begin with, but a little bit of something's better than nothing. Once I am able to file the final cost reports on the capital project, and what I need is I need all of the certifications from BBS that the project is substantially complete. They're still closing out a couple of the last projects. But once I get that filed, that's going to start generating the building aid for the new project. And that could be fairly sizable based on the 19.6 that we borrowed.
Just wanted to, because I know the governor's proposal talks about increase in state aid. We were already at max on the foundation aid, so we're not receiving additional foundation aid like some districts are. So it's just,
our foundation aid's going up by 3%. But it's minor. It's $25,000.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much, LTV. Thank you, everybody.